Let's begin tonight's broadcast on habit 15. But as always, before we do that, let's just have a recap of where we are with advanced habits. So the first one, habit number 12, taking 100% responsibility, which is for everything in your life and everything you do. So you have clarity, mental clarity, and it's a very good foundation for change and for growth. Habit 13, emotional freedom, where we're offloading all the crap, the crud, the demons, starting to remove that negative energy that we all take on so we're not suffering and we're starting to move up that chart. Okay, but it's a continual process. Spotting it rising, stress, anxiety, and getting rid of it. And habit 14 last night was all about the tools to help you in any situation as you go about your day to day, and to release the deep-seated stuff. Either we talked about tapping, Ho'oponopono, and a guided meditation. Very simple, very powerful tools you can use all day long. Okay, so on to tonight, number 15 is authenticity and values. Now this is a big one, a big foundation block as well. So the last two nights have been the heavier stuff, the emotional baggage, which is very, very important because we need to start releasing that to free ourselves, because that pulls us down, suffering. If we can leave that behind and start to dissipate that through continual effort, and this is a continual process as we talked about, that anything that's building up, it's nipping it in the bud, using the tools to get rid of it so it doesn't start to accumulate in the subconscious. Okay, so this is we're lining up now, authenticity and values. This is a key building block, as you'll see. Now, in terms of buckets, we're on vocational health. Okay, that's the primary bucket. This is a big one, a very big one, if you want an inspired, fulfilling, happy, vibrant life. The secondary buckets, get this one right, and we sincerely hope you do, because it makes such a big difference to your energy. Your mental health, emotional health, and also your spiritual health will go through the roof. Now, the two that go hand in hand, basically your vocation and spiritual health are very closely aligned. You could say your vocational path in this lifetime is also your spiritual path. So they're very, very closely connected. Now, let's talk about what we mean by authenticity and values. It's about living a life, an inspired life, an authentic life in accordance with your highest values. Now, I'll give you a little bit more in a second and what we mean by that, but this will become very, very clear, because this is quite a fun one to do, because it's looking at yourself and analysing, okay, am I doing this? But we've got the guidelines for you that makes it very, very simple. Now, if we go back to our mind, body, spirit chart, which we talked about on the introduction, we discussed how there is the divinity. We use the metaphor ocean. Everything that is, ever was, ever will be, is this giant energy field that we're all from. We use the metaphor, went and dipped in that ocean of all complete divinity, the complete universe, and the glass represents the body. In my label, mine, David Orrey. What's in the middle of it is that divine essence, okay, which is our soul, connected all through the dimensions to everything, and it's in everything. Okay, it's in absolutely everything in the whole universe, the same energy. We know that through quantum physics entanglement. Okay, so we're all connected. Now, what we know with the body, now modern life sort of weighs us down and conditions us, and we often go off track. What this one is all about is getting this divinity, this soul, shining through. Okay, so you start living an authentic life and doing the things that naturally inspire you and raise your energy, raise your vibration. Because if you live an inspired life, your vocation, you will start flying up here, okay, because you're naturally enthused. So read the heading in the guidebook, the first box in this section. So it is essential that you live authentically and aligned to your highest values to live an inspired and fulfilled life. This is why this one is so important. And When we're at My Body Spirit shows doing numerology readings, I'm telling people all the time, go and get the program and get into habit 15. Okay, there's an exercise which I'm going to show you in a minute that helps you find this if you're not already doing it. Now, when I discovered this in 2021, this exercise, I did it, and it was quite nice to see that I wasn't far off track, but I already knew this. Long story short, I did 12 years in the military. It was very good career, but I got the entrepreneurial bug, ended up going in financial services. Spent 19 years there. At the end of the 19 years, I had a great career, ended up bankrupt, and I got conned as well, 9 years, 2000, 2009, which were in the program, and I've mentioned these. For the last few years, it was like hitting my head against the brick wall. It didn't matter what I tried. Circumstances beyond me would go wrong. I was doing a lot of fundraising, and in the end, I had this empty void. This is when I met Stephen. Stephen gave me a load of guidance in 2016, and there's this void. I'm thinking, my heart and soul is no longer in this, but it pays the bills and I'm good at it. Okay, but there's something missing. And long story short, I just one day sod it. I walked out. I said, that's it. I didn't know what I was going to do, and had nothing planned. Big mortgage, commitments. Now, because I've lost more of my money twice, I'm used to being. This is a situation that would have terrified people with a mortgage and everything to pay, nothing lined up. But I've been there before, and I'm sort of comfortable with being under that financial pressure because I've faced it and had to deal with it. So I walked out, no idea what I was going to do. My friend, who was my business partner when we got conned, had been working for somebody doing gardening, and he decided it was time for him to set up a gym. That was his purpose at that time. And he opened the door for me and said, look, she needs somebody else to help her because I'm leaving in a month. Do you fancy it? And I thought, yeah, I'll do it as a stopgap because I don't know what else to do. So I started doing it, thinking, right, I'm going to do it for a couple of months while I figure out what I really want to do. A couple of months in, I thought, I'm loving this. I'm driving home feeling fantastic. I'm working in nature, vitamin D, get fulfillment from the job. The customers are lovely, cups of tea, cake. Well, this is fantastic. Here I am 6.5 to 7 years later. That's what I do for a living. I've been offered roles in financial services because of my experience that I could earn far more money, as these people tell me you could earn loads more. I think, no, it's like I'm in the right place. This is like in my life right now, this is my vocation. Now, I'm hoping you pick this up through the camera. Like, I'm inspired. It's like I can see myself reducing my hours because it's very busy and it's physically demanding at times. But I get so much fulfillment from it. It's like I'm not interested in chasing the big money because of what this gives me. Okay, and that's what we're talking about vocation. If it's your main job, wonderful. If it's a hobby, brilliant. Or it's a part-time job, it's about aligning with your soul. Now, when we do numerology readings, there's an element in there called your soul urge, what your soul wants to do. Now, mine is number 9, compassionate humanitarian is what we label it. And if you look what me and Stephen are doing, we both aligned to do this stuff naturally. You know, it's effortless. We want to help people, but it's effortless to do it for us because we're naturally motivated, inspired. It feels so normal, and we can talk for hours and hours about it. And we will. When we're at My Body Spirit show, sometimes it's like we can't wait to chime in because we've got so much knowledge we want to share, and it's effortless to us. But I won't go on too much about it. But hopefully you can see that it's figuring it. There's a lot of soul searching I had to do to get on the right track, and then it sort of all fell into place. Okay, right. And we found some brilliant tools which we're going to go through to help others do it. If you're in the right place, that's wonderful. If not, we're going to give you exercises where you can figure it all out. Very, very simple. Okay, so that's the authenticity. It's getting your soul shining through, doing the stuff that motivates you. So your days are fulfilling because you're doing the stuff that energizes you. Okay, and that's a very good way to move up here because you're doing what you want to do. You're not doing it just to pay the bills. I mean, if you're doing it just to pay the bills, but you're not really inspired, what happens? You get that void, and I've been there, and ultimately you can ignore it for so long, which I did, and then you can start compensating with sex, drugs, drink, you name it, to to avoid it are very, very easy to do. Okay, get it right and everything starts to fall into place, because it's like your soul is shining through, your energy goes through the roof. Now I hope, okay, I'm labouring the point, but I hope that makes sense. So that's the authenticity of your soul. The value is simply something that you place value on. Okay, it's very, very personal. There's no wrong or right. To give you an example, I've always played team sports, love sport, team sports, watch it, playing it. Stephen is nonplussed. So to me, team sports is a high value. To Stephen, not bothered. It's very low value. Now, reading, we've both got tons of books between us in the houses. And so reading to us is something we very, very highly value. Okay, right. So just conscious of time. So what I want to do now is go through the exercise. So there's 3 stages here in the workbook with Habit 15, 3 stages to go through. The first one is to elicit your highest values. Okay, so there's no wrong and right value. It's a very, very personal thing. Okay, so that's the first stage. So this isn't this is a one-off that you do to figure this out, and you might want to revisit it, every year, every couple of years, every 5 years. Okay, but the first time is very, very important. So it's an exercise that you take your time with, you get in a nice relaxed state, and you go through it. Now, rather than reinventing this or figuring out our own way, we've stolen somebody else's. There's a guy, American guru called Dr. John Demartini, who's a self-development guru. Now, he helps people find a purpose, the passion, the vocation, basically what we're doing here. And he's got this 13-question exercise to go through to help you elicit these. Very, very simple. Now, I'll pick 3 or 4 out. We'll put this in the pack, but you can go to his website. If you Google Dr. John Demartini, I think it's .com, it's on there. So you can fill it online, or you can get it from our program. Just go and get it. Go through it on pen and paper, whatever feels appropriate. But here's a sample of the question. So each one has 3 answers. 13 questions, 3 answers. The first one, how do you fill your space? Look carefully at 3 items that fill your personal, professional space. What 3 items do you see? Do you see certificates, awards, arts, paintings, crafts? Do you have business magazines, fashion magazines, books, pictures of family, yourself, friends? Write down concise answers of what 3 things mostly fill your space. So what we're doing intellectually, we're reading the question, but we're answering with our heart and soul. Okay, very personal. Nobody else needs to see this. This is only you. So another one. What do you inwardly think about most? Your mind will repeatedly focus on the things that mean something to you, related to your highest values. What are the dominant things you inwardly focus on? Is it an ideal family environment? Is it building your own dream business? Is it having a fantastic social circle and great social life? Is it falling in love with your dream partner? What 3 things do you focus on the most? So these are very simple questions. What do you talk about the most in social settings? This is a big reveal. Everybody wants to talk about the things that are important to them. What are the subjects that you want to bring up in yours or others' conversation that nobody has to remind you about? You become alive and an extrovert when the conversation turns to things that is really important to you. So what are the things you always want to talk about in conversations? Very, very great question, that reveal. So you've got 13 questions, very similar, that get you to think about, okay, what inspires you? Now, a couple of weeks ago, we were at a Mind Body Spirit show with myself and Stephen, and we both love reading. We both aspire to have at some point a library in our house. So purpose-built library, ceiling to floor, books, nice comfortable chair, which to us would be heaven. Just like a learning centre. And also got talking about going into bookstores like Waterstones, saying the best invention in modern times, one of the best inventions is putting coffee shops in bookstores. Now, we both love drinking coffee and we both love going in bookstores. Okay, now thinking, wow, what a fantastic invention. You'd sit there, drink coffee, you can browse around. Now, that's a very good revealer. You go into a bookstore, if you like books, what sections are you drawn to? Now, when I go in there, it's the mind, body, spirit, the health stuff, the gardening stuff, the sports stuff I might look at, and the self-development. Yeah, I could spend a couple of hours just going through those. So that reveals, laptop's just gone off. That reveals a lot about me. And I'm sure you can sense this through the camera. As I'm talking about this, my energy goes up because it's naturally an authentic part of me. That's stuff I value. Okay, so back to the exercise. Hopefully my computer will come back. Not that it matters as long as you can see me there. So 13 questions. You put the three answers for each one. So you then got 39 answers. Now, once you've done that, and this is take your time, there's no rush at all. You'll find you're putting the same answer multiple times. Now, if you do it online, it collates it for you, or we put it in the program, in the guidebook, so you can do it, print it off and do it pen and paper. You then collate your top ones, the ones that come up. So you might have 7 or 8 that you've actually written down more than once. So you put them in a league table. So the one you've answered the most, that is the most frequent, goes at the top, and 2, 3, 4, like that. And then you'll have a concise table of the things that enthuse you. Okay, so that's the first bit, is going through that, is figuring out what your highest values are, and it becomes obvious. You should feel good as you're doing this, because you're focusing on what raises your energy. Once you've done that, stage 2 is to now align your life with these. Now, this is not overnight. This is take as long as you need. It could be weeks, months to do this. So once you've figured out what really energizes you, it's then build it into your life. Now, let's say you have a busy family life and never enough time, and you begrudgingly do your garden because it's, you want to have a nice garden, but you don't really like it. Okay. You pay somebody like me to come in and sort your garden for you. So you can spend that 4 hours a week that you begrudgingly do with the things that uplift you, inspire you. Now, that's common sense. And obviously there are monetary considerations, but that's what we're talking about here. The stuff that you feel obligated to do that doesn't fill you with energy, ditch that if you can and give it to somebody who will do it for you, so you can spend time doing what you're doing. It's common sense. But life tends to get us in the way and drag us in different directions, and we end up doing things out of drudgery and sometimes resentment because we feel we have to, rather than spending time doing the things that we want to do. Okay, now that's all aligning is okay. Just taking your time. Always do this when you're in a nice relaxed state. Answer all the questions. Figure out your values. Okay, how can I weave this into my everyday life so I spend my time doing inspired actions that enthuse me, that raise my energy, that give me the fulfillment? Because if you're doing drudgery, stuff that you feel obligated, that doesn't enthuse you at all, and you do too much of it, it pulls your energy down. Common sense. After so long, you become resentful, and that's where midlife crises come from. It's like your soul screaming, "Stop it!" And I've gone through this experience when I had this void. Okay, so that's it. So the first thing is this: figure out what your values are. Use the exercise. It is very, very simple, but very, very revealing at the same time, and it's enjoyable. Then you sit down and analyze them and align your values. No rush. Take weeks, months if you need to. Start tweaking your life so you're bringing these values in, so you're starting to live an inspired life. That's where the fulfillment comes from, doing the things that raise your energy and starting to get rid of, where you can, the things that drain your energy. Okay, and then the final section, so there's 3 parts to this. The final section is just continually monitoring on a daily basis, weekly basis. Am I living in accordance with my highest values? If you're not, just keep tweaking. This is common sense. If we could set the rules tomorrow for a brand new life, of course we would do this. Now, as we said, through financial commitments or pressures of everyday life, we tend to get knocked off track and get molded and conditioned and forget, we're here to make the best of it, find our purpose, find our vocation and live it. Because that's where health, happiness, inspired life, fulfilled and happy inspired life comes from, is doing what you love to do. that you don't really need pain to do. You would do it regardless because it feels so good. Like what me and Stephen have been doing over the last 3 weeks, because we want to get this information out there with no attachment to what happens, because it is part of us, part of our soul urge to want to help others. Okay, right, I think I've laboured the point. So if you've got the guidebook, Habit 15, it's in there. Please go and get it. Don't feel like you've got to donate. That's just optional. We want people using this stuff. Or you can go to drjohndmartini.com, put it in there. He's well known. You'll see it come up on his website. You can go through it, fill it all in, and it compiles it for you, the league table. So it ranks them. This is your most common answer, second most common. So you can see like the top half a dozen will be your highest values. And then you've got to do the next bit yourself. You then sit, okay, weave this into your life. So you start to live a life with more purpose. Okay, now I hope that makes that's fairly logical, makes good sense. Okay, so let's go to the recommended action steps. So the first one is complete the Determine Your Values exercise. That's the 13 questions. Don't rush this. Take as much time as you need. I'm always telling people, couples, to do this. For couples, I see couples making so many mistakes because they assume the other person thinks the way they do. So what I always advise them is both sit down and do this privately, okay? And then because you're a couple, you want the best for each other, then you swap answers so you can understand the other one. And then you allow it to think, right, okay, you value that very highly. I need to allow you time to do that. But it's reciprocal. You've got to go both ways. So it's making compromises because you appreciate the other one needs to do that. The soul wants to do that. But then you have things you want to do. So it has to go 2 ways. That's the basis for a very healthy relationship. So both have to do it. Swap answers once you've completed it. Don't be influenced when you're doing it because you might start putting answers down you think the other person wants to see. No, that's not your authentic self. That's your conscious mind taking over, trying to keep the peace. Okay, so it's very important here you're authentic. Okay, so the first part is Determine Your Values exercise, which is stage 1 with 13 questions. Then completely align your values exercise, stage 2, which is tweaking your life. Okay, it's not a quick one. This is take as long as you need, days, weeks, months. Then put a reprioritizing your routine action plan together, which we've got in the pack. Okay, so you think, okay, all right, it might take quite a lot of adjustment to get where you need to go. It might take you several months, but you've got to start to put a plan to move in the right direction, just step by step, no rush. Then monitor it all daily, looking at each value in turn and adjust as necessary. And then reevaluate periodically, perhaps annually, with stage 1 and stage 2. So the 13 questions, you might want to come back once a year, every couple of years, to think, okay, am I still on track? A bit like a values MOT, if you like. Okay, I hope all that makes sense. So please go and get the pack. If you want to go through it on paper, or go to the website and do it. But this is very, very important to get you on a fulfilling and happy path and get your energy flying. Get this one right, your energy will naturally go up, because you can have more days where you're fulfilled rather than not looking forward to stuff. I've got to go through that again. Okay, I think I've laboured the point enough. Right, okay, so that's the end of Habit 15, Authenticity and Values. Tomorrow evening, we're going on to self-esteem and self-confidence on Habit 16. So we're now starting to build all the layers, and then from after that, we're going to get to the really good stuff that makes us feel very good together up here. Okay, right. Thank you very much for watching. If you're around tomorrow night, I'd love to see you, and we'll go again. So thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.